Welcome back to another devlog for my upcoming indie horror game, Blood Antlers. Now, last time we spoke, I had a very basic prototype for a game where the main goal is to hunt while surviving being hunted yourself. To quickly summarise, my current game loop consists of gathering sticks in the day to then build and upgrade your spear, and then at night you go out into the forest and slaughter as many boars as you can to use as sacrifices to escape. Whilst you're doing that, a cryptid entity called the Qatari will be relentlessly hunting you down. You repeat this by sleeping and waking up until you have enough sacrifices to escape. Now, whilst I had created this game loop in the most basic form, it seriously needed some work to fix the major bugs and a critical softlock that happened literally on day one of the game. In this video, I'm going to go over everything I've done in the last 2 weeks, and at the end, I'll talk about what's coming next, but that all starts with the first major patch for the game, and that is creating its save system. Saving progress in games is an essential part of what makes players A, want to keep playing as they know their progress means something, and B, gives the chance for players to pick up where they left off, allowing for multiple play sessions to take place rather than just 1 or 2 run-throughs. The way I decided to approach this system was to outline what information actually needs saving. As the game currently stands, that gets split up into 2 parts depending on whether it's day or night. During the day, the player must collect sticks to craft weapons to kill boars. There are 5 sticks that spawn each day, and so the information that gets saved is how many sticks the player has collected. When a stick is picked up, the save file will deduct 1 from the max sticks counter. When the level gets loaded, say when the player opens the game after quitting, the system will check the max sticks counter and spawn however many sticks that the player didn't pick up. And this resets when the player goes to sleep, as it indicates the day is restarting. This is the exact same system that is used for the boars as well, so the player can leave at any time and return to the game state as they left it. This, of course, fixes the softlock system or problem I mentioned earlier, as the sticks can only spawn if the player leaves on day 1. Other things are included in this save system, but there are just data and numbers such as how many sticks the player has in total, how many sacrifices they've done so far, and things that are just data points. But this works so that the max sticks counter controls how the game will reload on when the player comes back to it, basically. Previously, the main monster of the game was basically just a Wendigo creature that walked around, and then when it spotted you, it walked towards you until it gets in range to hit you. However, this made gameplay feel incredibly boring, as when the main threat cannot move faster than a mere walking pace, it's so easy to win, and you can avoid it. Not only this, but the attack that it does would cancel as soon as the player left its range, meaning that as long as you're literally just moving, you could be walking, running, it doesn't matter, the Qatari would never actually finish an attack. To solve this, I added a running animation that I got from Mixamo. Just as a side note, I decided to stay with Mixamo for the Qatari animations, as I'm still learning how to do it with the boar in Blender, so that will eventually be translated to the Qatari, but for now I just needed it to boost the progress of the game. Anyway, this made it so that when the Qatari spots the player, it will actually run after them, and if it can't see the player, then it will go back to walking. Now, for the attacking issue, I added in 2 types of collision spheres to the main Qatari blueprint. One is for the main range, which will control the audio and screen shake when the player is being chased, so that there's like a range of, okay, I'm being chased, I'm in danger, and then when you're out of range, it's like, okay, I'm not in danger, so the audio stops. And the secondary range is the attack range. If the player is within this attack range, the Qatari will enter into the attack state. Now, this will finish no matter what as soon as it's begun, even if the player is out of range as it's making the move. To make it even more difficult, I used a sphere trace channel that will always hit the player when the attack animation plays, but it will only trigger the hit effect if the player is within the range of the Qatari. Additionally, to make it a little bit more scary and improve the visuals a little bit, add in a red glowing eyes, which also helps to navigate around the Qatari at night, as I have also increased its sight range. And this is all to kind of balance the Qatari whilst also making it a true threat. Now that the central game loop has been a bit more refined, it was time to work on visuals a bit more. Now, the old environment had very low poly trees, and the leaves had a normals issue, which basically meant you could literally see through them, and during the fog level, or well, I'll come on to that later, but when a certain weather pattern happens, you can see through the entire map based on these trees, or the problem with the leaves. As well as this, the grass and the fern leaves were way too bright and whimsical for a horror game, and so I started by making the textures darker for those, which helped the overall consistency of the atmosphere stay horrific or eerie. As for the trees, I completely remodeled them and retextured them, and then replaced the old ones with these new models. These are much more high fidelity trees and don't have sharp edges that are easily visible when the flashlight is shined on them, as this was a major issue with the previous environment. I also added in a pathway so the player can actually find the exit gate, as currently there isn't any other clear indication that there even is an exit gate, and you can't differentiate it from the rest of the wall. The final thing I added to the environment was a few fences that I modeled in Blender, and I put them along the path to basically add in a few more obstacles, not just for the player, but also for the Qatari, so that the player has something, can use the environment to either help them or perhaps be hindered by it. In the last devlog, I had a rudimentary crafting system where you could literally get sticks to get a spear, and it was level 1 and 2 of said spear. However, you could also buy the same upgrade multiple times, and although you'd still lose your sticks to the upgrade because of the cost, you wouldn't get anything in return. So doing this was pointless, and if a misclick happened or something like that, players would just be wasting sticks, and this would be incredibly frustrating. So my solution to this was to limit the amount of times you can press an upgrade button and save whether you have already bought that upgrade. Once this was up and running, I pretty much pasted this system onto the 3rd level of the spear, and boom, that was a spear upgrade system done. To further refine this, I made it so the color of the buttons would change to red to better indicate when an upgrade has already been bought, as well as adding a little audio cue as to whether you've been able to upgrade or whether there's been an error in doing so. Whilst many game devs avoid doing perk polish this early on in development, I chose to add a little bit just to better grasp what my game will actually look like in the future. So to start, I retextured the cabin, as previously the textures were awfully strewn and there was way too much repetition for it to even look remotely realistic. After this, I added in a material sensitive footsteps audio cue, that's a big sentence, a word, for when the player is moving about, as well as some minor camera movement to better immerse the player. So when the player steps on grass, it will play the grass audio cue, and vice versa for when it goes on the wood, just to differentiate between the two. Otherwise the player would be walking on grass whilst inside, which made no sense. To further this immersion, I added in lots more audio cues for other things like picking up sticks, getting into bed, doing upgrades, as well as having the ambient soundtrack change when the day and night ends, or day or night ends. As a bonus, I also decided to have a random chance of the night being foggy. This weather makes it much harder to see boars and to avoid the Qatari, and it's a nice way of making each night feel a little bit more distinct, as well as giving some stakes for the player when they go to sleep. I don't particularly plan to do anything major with the weather system, apart from maybe adding in like a rare chance for a blood moon, but that depends on how I want the game to end and whether this blood moon would be essential for the game's ending. So there you have it. In the past 2 weeks, I made a decent amount of progress on what will eventually be a demo of the game, and I can't wait to release it and have some playtesting begin. However, saying that, the next major focuses will lie on the UI of the game, as it's currently made of literal grey blocks with text on them. It would also be great to get a main menu system up and running, as well as a proper death animation, so like, you know how in Five Nights at Freddy's when you die, it will like have the animatronics be in your face. I want the same thing for the Qatari, or something similar, like maybe even a little cinematic of it dragging you into its den, or something along those lines. As once all of this is complete, I can finish off a few more refinements of level 1 and get started on level 2. Now, when I go on to level 2, the development will rapidly speed up pretty much, because all of the systems that are needed that we use for the whole game have already been implemented, such as the save system. So it will just be a case of adding on to this save system rather than building it from scratch. I don't yet have a Steam page even remotely ready for this game, so this will also be a big step towards that, as you want your game to look good for the store page even if it isn't yet ready, and then you can at least start collecting wish lists and be like, oh, go wishlist my game at the end of the video, etc. Saying that, I want to get right back into development pretty much now, because I have to do a little retexturing of the boar, as it currently looks too stylistic and the fur looks terrible. So, saying that, I just said that as well. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.